Right.
But I ended up trading Kyle Palmieri
Yeah. Same. But where did you go?
to Tampa Bay
Ooh, okay.
for a second, and I'm gonna butcher the last name, but Gage Gonsalves, who's kind of like he's 24 years old. He's mostly a career AHL guy, but he's like
Okay.
over a point per game player in the AHL, and I believe he's played like 31 games this year in the AHL. Hang on, give me a second. I'll pull up the exact numbers. He's a former second round pick from 2020. He played 35 games in the NHL this year with eight points. But in the AHL, 18 points in 14 games. Last year, 58 points in 69 games. The year before, 54 and 71. So at an absolute bare minimum, this is someone who is going to come in and be an immediately your best player in the AHL, probably. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, he's 6'1", 185 pounds, and could be depth.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. My Kyle Palmieri trade was sending him to Los Angeles.
Okay.
The return is Tanner Jeannot and a second round pick in 2025.
Okay.
We retained 50% on Kyle Palmieri. The Kings don't have a ton of cap space, which is why I'm bringing in Tanner Jeannot. He's only playing like 10 minutes a night for them, so he's an extra piece for them. Clears up the amount of cap space they would need to bring in Kyle Palmieri. The Kings don't have a great offense. They're ranked 24th overall for goals scored this year. So they could use someone like Kyle Palmieri to give them a little bit more. And then I figure with Tanner Jeannot, you've got a guy who likes to play physical, kind of like embodies what we had in our fourth line before. And we bring him in, and he's on an expiring contract. He goes in as a UFA. We can probably get him for $2 million. He's making just over that right now, and playing 10 minutes. You sign him for $2 million. You got a guy who's going to crash hard and has some potential. There's definitely potential to Tanner Jeannot. We all remember that the Tampa Bay trade for him. They thought there was something there. So
yeah, a one-time 24 goal scorer, albeit it's 3 years ago now, but I don't know. It's kind of like insurance for your fourth line.
Yeah, and if you don't keep him, whatever, you got a second round pick for Kyle Palmieri, which I think is fair.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think it's a second rounder, and either like a swap to make the money work, like you had it, or like an older AHL kind of prospect.
Yeah, someone who's on the cusp, who can't break into a team because they're just too good, and he's not that good enough, or at least he doesn't fill the kind of spots they're looking to fill. Right when it comes to us, and Matt Martin goes down with an injury, and you're like, why don't you call up? I don't know. We need him to full when he was doing super well. And you're like, well, it's not the same thing. That kind of player, I guess.
Maybe. Exactly. And just last thing for me is I just had a note off season. Take calls on Lee Pajot and potentially Dobson.
Yep. All the same. My last note coming into the trade deadline is: do you trade Tony DeAngelo?
Oh,
for like a second rounder?
Yeah, I think I absolutely.
Like I didn't rush to do it because I can see him staying with the Islanders, and I'm not running to go and trade him necessarily. But if we can get a second round, if someone calls and offers us a second round pick, if Carolina calls and says, can we give you a second for Tony? Yup, you're gone. If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.